Well, we are almost 8 months into dealing with the coronavirus pandemic here in Idaho, and as we've progressed over the last several months, we've learned more and more about how to deal with COVID conundrums. Big task has been what to do with schools. When should students be in the classroom, and when should they be doing virtual learning only? The State Board of Education has now revised their back-to-school framework to reflect new recommendations based on new information. Joe Paris spoke with the State Board of Education President Debbie Critchfield about some of the big changes.
We want to make sure that guidelines that we had put out in July don't hinder the good decision making that is taking place and that we need to continue to take place.
State Board of Education President Debbie Critchfield says that idea led the state board to revise the Idaho back-to-school framework colored categories. And those categories are meant as guidance for school districts on decisions in consultation with local health districts. The goal behind the categories is for schools to operate as safely as possible during the pandemic. Critchfield says the changes to the plan comes as more data and information is available several months into dealing with COVID.
We have seen that the infection rates in our schools are low, that it's adults that are transmitting and contracting the virus at a higher rate. Our school districts are doing a very good job with their mitigation strategies. I think the most significant change is the fact that we have expanded the red category to include other types of in-person delivery. It does not simply mean remote.
The red category, for the most part, previously meant that students in red category areas would need to be a part of virtual learning.
We have learned that that does not need to be the case. We can have in-person instruction happening within the red. We see it, we've got great examples of it, and it's functioning well. And so we wanted to update the guidance in red.
One example of a strategy, the West Ada School Board recently voted to have an alternating school schedule while in the red category. And the State Board is well aware that there are critics of doing in-person learning at all this school year. Some have argued that schools in areas with high community spread should conduct their school year like many students finished last year, remotely. Now, Critchfield explains that learning more and more about the virus and transmission is a major factor of revising the in-person learning criteria.
Well, does that mean that we don't care about the health and safety? No, but what it means is we are looking at how we manage that risk. And frankly, back in March, we were not comfortable with a high level of risk. And you saw schools closing down. There was a soft closure. We didn't know, and we were uncomfortable with that. But as we've been in school and as we've been able to manage the circumstances, I think our comfort with risk, that level has risen.
Previously, the framework had 3 categories, but the amended plan now adds a 4th and new orange category to the framework. Orange signifies high community transmission. Red is now critical levels of transmission. Yellow and green stand for minimal to moderate and no community spread, respectively. The State Board says expanding the categories reflects a change already made by 6 of Idaho's 7 health districts and provides flexibility and a fuller range of what areas are seeing.
That's something else that we've observed from around the state, is that health departments are working well with school districts to encourage their decision making and encourage them to have some maneuverability within the categories. And so this will help, we hope, to show that there is a lot of options out there. We want kids to be in school as much as is possible, and hopefully this will help support that.
All right, Joe, so we've seen that they can change these formats already, but could they change it again? How permanent are they?
Well, for now, they're really comfortable and they like this plan. But as we go through the winter months and into the spring, President Critchfield told me it's entirely possible that these guidances could actually change. As what happened here, as more information, as more data comes out and as situations change, their guidance to school districts across the state may change as well. So for now, they're confident this is really good guidance for school districts across our state. But Brian, the caveat is things change quickly, as we've seen throughout the year.
And the more we know, the more we find out about it, and that could change a whole lot of things. All right, thank you very much, Joe.